Welcome back to Black News Tonight. Last week on our show, we covered the horrifying abuse of Haitian asylum seekers at the U.S. Mexico border in Del Rio, Texas. Well, many questions remain surrounding those shameful events, including what role our government and its policies may have played creating those inhumane conditions. Well, my next guest joins us with some shocking details of what he and his fellow activists say they witnessed on the ground last week. That includes their troubling account that while Homeland Security used COVID-19 related public health order to block Haitian migrants from seeking asylum at the border, they soon discovered that many individuals weren't even tested for the virus before officials moved to deport them. So here to tell us about what he witnessed at the border and talk more about the immigration crisis in our country is Dr. Frederick Haynes. Now, he's an activist and the pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Haynes, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shannon. Glad to be here.
Now, you got to break this down for us because you say officials at the border were using this COVID-19 excuse as a justification to deport people, but that the Haitian migrants weren't even being tested for coronavirus. Please tell us what you saw.
Well, sadly, what I saw was hell on earth. What I saw was an ugly expression of white supremacy. There's a culture of white supremacy that was expressed in the Border Patrol, which basically we saw bigots on horseback exerting their white supremacist mindset toward these hurting Haitians. So what we saw with the bigots on horseback was simply an extension of the horrid, reprehensible conditions that the Haitians were living under there in that encampment. And just think about the worst homeless encampment that you've seen in the country, magnify it by 100 times, put it on steroids, and you begin to get an idea of what we witnessed last week. Reverend Sharpton, Al Sharpton, myself, and other faith leaders went to Del Rio. We were greeted by persons who immediately let us know that they were Trumplicans. Again, there's a culture there. And I'm setting the stage for, what we saw when we went to the encampment. Because what we saw was inhumane, what we saw was reprehensible, but unfortunately it was acceptable to those who were presiding over it. Now, they knew we were coming, and so they did their best to clean it up. And ironically, the next day, the whole encampment was bulldozed because they did not want that encampment on camera. Because it's a reflection, again, of a culture that is flavored by white supremacy. And so we literally went back into a time warp, which is why what we saw on video that went viral was not, sadly, to be unexpected, given the conditions they were living under. Now, let me say the irony of bringing up the whole concept of COVID-19 was that, as you pointed out, hypocritically, no one was being tested. More than that, there was not one mask I saw that had been given to the migrants who were already hurting. Worse than that, one of the Border Patrol agents who was graciously giving us a tour, this Border Patrol agent said that most of the migrants had not had water on their bodies for over a week. And the last time they had water on their bodies, it was from a river that was already filthy. And so there is not one shower in that encampment. And so when you think about how viruses thrive in congregated areas, but also areas where there is filth and nastiness, I mean, it was literally, if they had COVID when they arrived, their situation was made worse. If they did not have COVID when they arrived, here's the deal. I'm sure they caught it in that nasty encampment.
I couldn't even imagine what you experienced when you were there. And when you were seeing these atrocities unfolding right in front of your eyes, what was your immediate response and what did you do?
Well, my immediate response was that of, horror. I was horrified and heartbroken. Again, we were being given a tour, and then we were allowed to engage in conversation with a few of the migrants, and then Reverend Sharpton gave an inspirational message, and then he asked me to pray. What was very powerful and moving was the fact that I don't speak French Creole, they don't speak English, and yet when I said in Jesus' name, amen, there was a resounding amen, because amen, of course, is a common term in every language globally. But then they burst out in an applause. And so their resilience, their strength is something that we could not help but know. But again, it's resilience and strength in a context of white supremacy informed evil and reprehensible conditions.
And so when you were speaking to these migrants who were there, what were they saying to you about their treatment?
Well, they shared with us why they had left where they were. They left Haiti because, again, Haiti was just not a place for many reasons that was now, comfortable, to use a nice term, for them to live. And I'll just put it like this: no one leaves home voluntarily. When they leave home, it has to do with the fact that there are horrid conditions that are pushing them out of the home that, of course, they grew up in, had come to love, and have other family members in. So you don't leave home unless, basically home has become a hell. And so they shared that with us. They also shared, what blew my mind is that there were two persons we spoke with. They literally walked from Brazil to the border there in Del Rio. And so I can't even imagine that, because one of the Border Patrol agents even shared with us that there is a pass along the way that is so dangerous that more people have died going through that pass than have survived it and made it through the border. So they not only have been through hell, but then they arrive and they catch hell as they have tried to escape, again, an existential hell. So they shared with us again that they were simply hoping to be safe and coming to a place that, has what a Statue of Liberty. That, as far as I'm concerned, we should either give it back to France or simply say in the message there at the base that this message: give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, excludes Black Haitian immigrants. If you're Black and Haitian, this is not for you.
Wow. So when you were there, were you able to provide any assistance to them, or was there a plan of action that you hoped to achieve, or a goal you hoped to achieve by visiting?
Yes, number one, we wanted to bring attention to their conditions, as well as uh, insist that those who were serving there would give them better a better situation in which they found themselves. One of the persons who was giving us a tour said that the conditions they were in good conditions in Chile. And so I said, is that the kind of place that you would want your mother to stay in Chile? Is this the kind of place you would want your mother to stay in? Of course, we said no. So we wanted to raise awareness, but then at the same time, we wanted to do what we could to mobilize resources. Thankfully, Until Freedom, Tamika Mallory, Linda Saussure, the Reverend Stephen Green, and many others were organizing to have our church in Dallas as a drop off site for resources that we would get to the Haitian migrants. And so we were able to collect a whole lot more than we bargained for. We're so grateful for the big heartedness of those in our community and at our church, Friendship West, there in Dallas, because they came with more resources than the truck that had been rented out had space for. And so we were able, because of Until Freedom, to get resources to those who have suffered so long. At the same time, we are saying what was said to us by a Border Patrol agent before they bulldoze the place, and that is, there's something inhumane about not one shower being in an encampment where persons are coming who are fleeing, trying to get asylum. The other piece is that we were privileged to have with us one who has served, Patrick Gaspar, as a U.S. diplomat. Patrick Gaspar said that we must challenge this administration, the Biden administration, whose president promised to have our back because we've always had his back. But right now, it appears he's stabbing us in the back after riding our backs because, according to Patrick Gaspar, this country under this administration is not following asylum protocols that have been established in the international community.
And so let me
There
ask
is
you about that.
something wrong about
A lot of people say that all Biden is giving is words right now, condemning those border agents who hunted people down on horseback, but nothing is being done. What do you think this administration must do immediately?
Well, again, immediately there must be accountability for those border patrol agents, and then most of all, I'll just be real honest with you, Shannon. We walked into a time warp. Those border patrol agents are a part of a culture there in South Texas that, again, is flavored by white supremacy. Until you change the culture of the border patrol, until you change those persons who are at that border making those decisions, the sad reality is all he is doing is talking loud and saying nothing. And so I don't want to hear any more talk if you're not going to change the border patrol culture there at the border. And then secondly, please don't talk anything unless you are following the international asylum protocols that have been established. No wonder the United Nations, when meeting last week, condemned what was going on at the border at the hands of not only the Border Patrol, but again, this administration.
We are so happy you were down there to advocate for those who needed your help the most. Hopefully this thing will get situated soon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And be sure to join this conversation as well. We want to hear from you. So head over to our BNC Instagram and Twitter pages and let us know how you feel. Also visit our website, bnc.tv, and subscribe to our YouTube page to check out clips from the show.